Hey everyone, welcome back to She Tried It. So today's video, I'm talking about my favorite knit and or crochet designers. So I did a poll on my community tab a few weeks ago just to see what type of video y'all wanted to see, and the one that got the most votes was who is my favorite designers and why. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say who the designer is, say what I've made from them, say why I like them. I also want to give a disclaimer that this is just some brain dump designers from designers I've actually made from. I don't mention any designers I haven't completed any patterns from, and there are designers that I love that I just haven't had the chance to make anything from. Also, there are some designers that are not on this list that I have made stuff from. I still love them, but they just, I guess, didn't come to my mind when I was making this list, so I don't want to offend anyone. I doubt anyone will get offended because, to be honest, designers don't really watch my videos. But anywho, let's hop into the video. Up first is no surprise, let's just get it out of the way. Two of Wands. So Two of Wands is by far my favorite designer, and the word that I want to give for her is her style. She is just such a stylish designer. She was one of the first people, like when I got into crochet, you know how you see all those old woman type things, which it's no offense, because some of that stuff you can still make it look cute. But I felt like a lot of the designs that I saw at the very beginning of my journey were very old school, and I felt like she had the most stylish designs. So I've made the Daybreak Crochet Tapestry, I've made the Willow Lace Vest, and I've made the Campsite Waffle Cardigan. All of these are videos and I'll link them below in the description box. I just love her style. I think her style matches mine so much. She's a designer I really look up to. She's probably not maybe the most, but one of like maybe the first, I don't know. But she reached out to me when I made her design the first time, the Willow Lace Vest, and she was just so kind and so sweet, because for a long time I felt like what I was doing was kind of useless, or maybe designers didn't like it. Like I was making other people's designs and they were just like, okay, like you made my design, like I want you to buy my pattern, make my design. But she was one that she was just like, oh my gosh, you made a video. Like she was just so grateful, and I won the Crew of Wands thing and I got my little free patterns. I just had such a great journey with her. Plus she is killing the game with these yarns that she has with Lion Brands. I'm just so proud of her, and I'm so happy to, I wouldn't say know her, but I'm so happy to have made some of her designs, and I really admire her. Next up is Park and Knit, and for her, I would say that her designs are modern. Now, when it comes to knit, for sure, the first modern knitting designer I got into was definitely Park and Knit. When I was introduced to her, I was trying to be a knit tester. I had already crochet tested, which I'll get to that designer later, but I had already crochet tested at this point. I felt kind of confident in reading a knit pattern, which I shouldn't have, but I did. I signed up to be one of her knit testers for the Daily Ritual Raglan, which is the first thing I made from her. And turns out she has this awesome deal where if you pattern test for her, you get a free pattern either right then from her past patterns, or you could get a free pattern on one of her future patterns. That was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make in my life. I ended up picking one of her patterns that she had already designed, and to this day, I beat myself up like, why didn't you wait? But I still do love what I made. It's one of my most worn cardigans, and it is the fishnet cardigan, which I absolutely love. If you're a knitter and if you live in the South, or if you're a knitter and you're looking for something that you knit that you can still wear in the summertime or the warmer months, the fishnet cardigan is perfect. I wear it all the time. I've worn it to church multiple times. I just love that cardigan. I do think my skills have very much so improved, but the most difficult part of the pattern was, I think, weaving in the ends. I did a very poor job of that, and I would like to remake that cardigan with Curio number 3 again, but that's a long story that we need to get into one day. I would like to remake that pattern with Curio number 3, same yarn that I use, maybe a different color, and weave in the ends a little bit better. In her pattern, she suggested using nail glue, and I think I bought it, but I didn't use it, which was so dumb. Those are her patterns that I made. I think she's an awesome modern knitter designer. If you're looking for some modern knits, definitely check out Park and Knit. The next designer I'd like to mention is by Stephanie Erin, and for her word, I would like to use aesthetic. I think she has some of the most aesthetic crochet designs I've ever seen in my life, and I didn't really understand why, because it seemed like it was the same things, like a tank top or a sweater, but the thing was, just like me, she's not scared to use some thin yarn, which really makes all the difference in your crocheting. I never tested for her, but I did make the perfect peplum, and I almost feel like she used my completed make almost like I was a tester. That came out so beautifully. And I remember I said that I wanted to make the static sweater, and like right after that. That kind of got lost in translation. So maybe sometime in the top of next year, I can make the static sweater, because that is definitely still on my list to make. I just need to find a thin enough yarn that's available to me that I can make it. Just know that for the most part, maybe not all, because I've never really paid attention to all her designs, but I'm pretty sure most of her designs are with very thin yarn. So it's not gonna be a weekend make. It's gonna be something you're working on for a little bit. The next designer is Holly Woodward Designs, and for her, I would describe her as artistic. Holly Woodward Designs holds a very special place in my heart, and I've said this multiple times before. She is the first designer that allowed me to be a pattern tester. I feel like I was really struggling, maybe it wasn't that much of a struggle, but I feel like I was really struggling to find a designer that was allowing me to be a tester, because I think that at that point, at least the designers I was trying to test for, they weren't really looking for people that were willing to make their pattern. They were looking for people that had a big following, so that if they allowed someone to be their tester, it would be like reaching a whole new audience that they didn't have before. And at that point, even at this point, I don't have like a gigantic audience. So if I make your stuff, I mean, it may blow up in my mind, but it's not like you're like getting that much exposure. It's just definitely more than maybe the average person. Holly Woodward Designs, I want to say, and I don't want to butcher her story, but I want to say she's definitely living in like London or something, and she's not in America. She had a pet rabbit, I think, which I thought was kind of cool. I want to say she was vegan as well, which I also thought was really cool. She was a designer who I believe lost her job during COVID, and she already knew how to crochet, so I think she just started experimenting with patterns, and her designs were so good. And now she's blown up like crazy. She's a very well-known crochet designer, I believe. So the first thing that I pattern tested for her was the Lilith cardigan, which I still wear all the time. Very similar to the fishnet cardigan. Had no clue what I was doing when it came to weaving in the ends, so I really want to remake that cardigan. But I really want to remake that cardigan because I wear it all the time. It's the perfect cardigan, because I made it really long. It's the perfect cardigan that you could wear in the winter time or the fall time with leggings and a tank top, or leggings and a t-shirt. So beautiful. I also made the Jude vest from her, which was another pattern test, I believe. And I made the Gertie cardigan from her, which was a beautiful, and this is why I give her the word artistic, a beautiful cardigan. The only issue was the weaving in of the ends, which I still have not done, but it's still a really pretty cardigan. You don't have to weave in the ends, just have a whole bunch of yarn in your sleeve like I do. But that is such a pretty cardigan, and I just absolutely love how she works with color. And I'm not much of a colorful person, despite what I'm wearing today. I don't know what's going on today. I'm really not a colorful person. I think she really brought me out of my shell by introducing me to some more color. The next designer I want to mention is fairly new. I just kind of recently made one of her patterns, and it's MJ's Off the Hook Designs. I recently made the Waffleicious cardigan from her, and to describe her, I would say inspiring. The way she writes her patterns is so inspiring. I feel like I learned so much about pattern design writing from all these designers, but the way that MJ's Off the Hook Designs organizes hers, I think is top notch. I love that she has a video tutorial, so you don't have to be nervous about buying the pattern, because if you can't do the pattern, you can always fall back in the video. And I love how she makes it very beginner friendly. All her patterns are super beginner friendly. They're beginner friendly, but they look very advanced. Like that Waffleicious cardigan, it looks like it would be really hard. If you know super simple stitches, you could totally make that cardigan. There's nothing to worry about with her designs, which I really admire about her. So she's really inspiring if you're someone who wants to get into making more clothing, or she's really inspiring if you're someone who wants to get into designing your own patterns. The next person is MMMaking. Her word would be versatility. So MMMaking is a designer that I've made from a couple times, and I will be making from again. Very similar to Two of Wands. She was very grateful that I actually like made a video and made her pattern, and she actually gave me like 5 or 6 of her designs, so I have them just laying around and I can always fall back on them. But I also try to like make other designers as well. But when I've run out of stuff to do, all those patterns she gave me are absolutely brilliant. But in terms of the stuff I have made, I made the Abuela tank to start with, which was gorgeous and did very well on this channel, actually. Y'all loved it too. And then I made the Abuela shirt. from her, which was also a beautiful, beautiful design, which is so cool. Right now on TikTok, hexagon t-shirts are really trending, and I think that pattern is by far the nicest hexagon t-shirt, but her patterns are very, very great. And I love the versatility she has in her design writing, because she used granny stitch for the abuela tank, she used granny stitch for the abuela shirt, and she has a new abuela something, I don't know what it's called, I can't remember, but she has a third abuela trio thing to add to her design collection, which I think is so cool. So I'm very curious to see how many abuela things she ends up making, because she has no lack of versatility with this abuela design, which is really cool to see. The next designer is very near and dear to my heart, and it is One of a Kate. Now, One of a Kate, her word that I'm going to use is maker, and this is a really big deal to me because even now and for a very long time, I had no intention of being a designer or designing my own patterns. I just wanted to be a maker. I just wanted to make other people's designs so that when other people wanted to make other people's designs, they could be like, oh my gosh, that turned out so cute. I can make it that same way or use that same color. I really enjoy being a maker, and I never want that to change, but I just love being a maker way more than a designer. That was never really a desire of mine necessarily. I really love that One of a Kate is a maker. I don't know about first and foremost, but you definitely know that she makes other people's patterns, and that is not very common at all for most designers. Like, when you're a designer, you design your stuff, you don't make other people's stuff, and I don't know why that is. Now, One of a Kate, I've made two things from her that are also, I think, pretty popular on this channel. I've made the shoulder shift tank, which is a knit pattern, and I made the shoulder shift dress, which is a crochet pattern. So clearly she is a knitter and a crocheter, and I think she does Tunisian crochet, so she really does it all. I'm not doing all that stuff, but she is a really great designer, and the patterns I made from her are absolutely gorgeous, and I know she has more great designs coming soon. The next designer that I want to mention is Summerly Designs, and the word that I want to use for her is instructor. Again, I was so inspired by her pattern, the I'm So Basic socks, which I made from her. Absolutely gorgeous design. I love how those socks came out, and when I tell you I was so scared to knit some socks because I was not much of a knitter when I knit those socks. She had like a breakdown PDF, she had a video series, everything you needed. It boosted my confidence like crazy, and part of me is like, dang, is she a full-time teacher, or was she a full-time teacher? Because she just gives such great instruction on her patterns, and I really admire that, and I try to bring that into my own pattern. Just giving great instruction to my patterns. I've bought patterns before where it's literally just a sheet of paper, do this and this. And I'm just like, well, dang, that's not much instruction. And those kind of make me nervous because I'm like, oh my gosh, only a couple pages? I don't know if I can do it. But having all that information that she gives you, it just really helps your confidence. And I think she is such a great instructor. Maybe just test yourself. If you think there is no way I can knit some socks, Karita doesn't know what she's talking about, go check out Summerly Designs. I bet you will surprise yourself and knit yourself some socks that you will actually love and wear. The next designer I want to mention, again, very near and dear to my heart, is the Graceful Tangle, and she is a YouTuber. I made one of her patterns. It was the breezy eyelet shawl, and I absolutely love how it came out. I really wish I would have made it a little bit bigger, but I think I don't know why I didn't make it bigger. But anyways, I didn't make it bigger. I am absolutely going to make another pattern from her. Getting this video together, I'm just like, why haven't I made something from her? The word that I would use for the Graceful Tangle is consistency. She is so consistent. I feel like she has the pattern catalog of a huge designer, but she has the consistency of no one I've ever seen. And what amazed me was she was so consistent in college. I'm like, how would she do that? I don't know what she majored in. Regardless, being in college, that's difficult. So the fact that she could remain so consistent and she was making commissions on the side, I was just in awe. I will definitely be making more of her patterns on the channel just to showcase her because she is very consistent, and I absolutely love how the breezy eyelet shawl turned out. Last but not least, the last designer I want to mention is me. She tried it. The word I want to use for me is fearless, because I was very fearful about making my own designs. Still am, not gonna lie. I was fearful because I don't see myself as a designer. I feel like I work best off of basically just doing somebody else's pattern and be like, ooh, what if I made this modification? And I feel more comfortable with that, and I felt very comfortable with that, still do, and I'm still gonna keep doing that. It's been so nice to kind of get my creative juices flowing and making my own patterns and not really worrying about how many sales I've made or anything like that, but just kind of enjoying the process. My designs are very much a favorite of mine. In terms of my designs that I've made every pattern that I've made. I made the whole mood midi skirt, which is super cute, one of my favorites, love that pattern. I made the aesthetic hanging chair, which is technically a free pattern. I am so sorry, y'all, that never really got hung up or anything, so I have nothing to report on how it worked out, but it is a free pattern, so you won't really lose anything. However, you do have to pay for it on Etsy just because you can't offer free PDFs on Etsy. But if you go to Ravelry, it's free on there. And I have the Jesus Season Christmas wreath, and I love that pattern. Love Christmas time, can't wait for it, honestly. I also made the Pack Light phone case bag, which is a very cute design, and a phone case bag that you can use maybe for festivals or concerts or something. And then I have the polychrome shoulder bag, which is another cute bag that I made, very creative with the beads in it and the chain strap on it. And last but certainly not least, the black or white bucket hat, which I absolutely love. Perfect for summertime, warm months, keeping the sun out of your face. I just really admire how fearless I've been coming out with my patterns. I think I have 2 more that I'm planning to release this year. And even though all these patterns that I've made have been crochet patterns, I do, before the year is over, plan on releasing a knit pattern, which I'm a little bit nervous about, but I'm gonna be fearless and come out with it. And I have one last crochet pattern that I'm gonna make for the Christmas season, so stay tuned for that. As usual, you can get links to all my patterns in the description box below. You can check out all my videos in the description box below. And I recently started doing this thing where for every season, again for my community tab, but for every season I'm gonna suggest patterns by other designers that you should be making. I did the spring pattern suggestion video with the free little PDF download, and I started doing that for the summer, and I have one for the fall. So if you want to check that out, you absolutely can. And it's sold on my Etsy. I can't sell it on Ravelry because they didn't like it. But yeah, that is pretty much it for today's video. I hope I introduced you to some new designers, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. As you can see, I have the twist in my hair again. I'm about to wash my hair later today and re-put them back in. Maybe leave some hair out, do the boho twist thing. We'll see how that comes out. I pray to God it's cute. Anyways, look how long my hair is. You would never guess that with how much shrinkage it has, but I'm on a hair growth journey. You feel me? It is growing. That is some long hair right there, but you just can't tell because it's so curly.